Greetings, all you maniacs of minds when it rhymes, and today I'm mostly just going to be talking about Dark Souls, even though Dark Souls is not even in the background footage, but whatever. So, Dark Souls. What is my stance on the series? I love Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Okay, I love the entire series. Really cool games, very unique and very a lot of aspects, but I'm just bored of it. Short answer. Long answer? Well, let's start with Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1 to me is just too damn easy and too damn glitchy to be worth playing. I know that is insane to think about, as a lot of people say Dark Souls 1 is the hardest Dark Souls, but it really isn't because of how overpowered you can get in the game just by glitching the absolute fuck out of it. You can beat the game in 3 bosses. I'm not even kidding. It's possible. But not only that, it feels so damn clunky. It really feels like an alpha or a beta, and that is just, I know they probably ran out of budget or they just didn't have time or anything like that. You know, a lot of factors could go into how a game performs on release, but they didn't bother updating it, which is a little weird to me. And when it came out on PC, it was locked at 30 FPS, and it was just super buggy, and you basically had to play it with DS Fix, and that didn't fix everything. In fact, DS Fix came out like, what, 4 days after the PC release of Dark Souls 1? Somewhere around there. Frame rate issues, freaking just chains, backstabs, and multiplayer, you know, the quality stuff that people like Dark Souls 1 for. I just can't stand Dark Souls 1 anymore. I don't know if I'll ever finish the DLC for it because I just can't bring myself to play it. It's just not fun. It's way too buggy, and it doesn't feel right to me. It does not feel good to play. Dark Souls 2, on the other hand, it feels really good to play, but I have different problems with it. One, there's way too much content. There is way too much stuff. If they cut out a lot of the fluff, I think Dark Souls 2 would have been a lot better than it already is. Dark Souls 2 is definitely a good game. It's just not a very good Dark Souls game. And the New Game Plus is on it, and when you use bonfire aesthetics to reset the bosses, which I'm fine with, but honestly they shouldn't have been in the game because they kind of break the game a little bit because they basically put it to the next NG cycle. And the next NG cycle, all the enemies are tougher, and then these red spirits show up out of nowhere, even if you're offline. The amount of enemies in Dark Souls 2 is just dumb. It's actually stupid how many enemies there are in Dark Souls 2. And the game isn't like Warframe where you're used to and the game is built around dealing with large hordes of assholes. No. Dark Souls 2 is very much a 1v1 or 2v1 sort of game where you have to be very patient and whittle the enemy's health down until you finally win or get a parry and then win, and all that good stuff. But no, the game just throws hordes of assholes at you, and you really can't do anything. Yes, they're alluring skulls, but they don't work on every single enemy. But I did enjoy my time with Dark Souls 2, more so in Dark Souls 1, because it just felt way better to play. The weapon variety was a lot better. The combat was superb compared to Dark Souls 1. I mean, you could actually combo with weapons. Every single weapon felt cool. Every single weapon was unique in its own certain aspect. Not every single one had a unique moveset. I mean, Dark Souls doesn't really have a unique moveset for everything. A great sword's going to swing like a great sword no matter what. But the way the combat was in Dark Souls 2 and the power stance with dual wield was just so cool. And the magic was actually my favorite out of the Souls series, because it was simple but extremely potent, and I loved it. And then we get to Bloodborne. So Bloodborne, I already traded my PS4 and it. I said this before on a video, but I really enjoyed Bloodborne. The fast-paced combat was just so much fun. And the aesthetic, the dark, HP Lovecraft, Cthulhu crap going on, such a cool, unique, and awesome atmosphere, especially because it was in Victorian era, which is really cool to me. I like that aspect. I like the steampunk Victorian kind of crap. But because it was a PS4 exclusive, it wasn't running at 60 FPS. If they released Bloodborne on PC, people would be so happy. I'd be happy. I'd get the game again because it'd be worth playing. And I did some PvP in Bloodborne. The netcode is horrible. It's worse than Xenoverse 2's netcode, and that is saying a lot because Xenoverse 2's netcode, yeah, if you know anything about anything, that netcode is just no. It's not cool. I'm completely done with Xenoverse, by the way. Maybe I'll do another video on that, but anyway, Bloodborne, definitely such an awesome game. And then we get to Dark Souls 3, the one that I have the most hours in, because I enjoyed it the most. It was the first Souls game I played, and it's the last Souls game I'll play for now. If they come out with a Dark Souls 4, of course I'm going to get it. But Dark Souls 3, it just had everything going for it. It wasn't as glitchy as the past games. It wasn't as buggy as the last games. It didn't have horrible frame rate issues. Everything was well balanced and thought out. The combat was faster. I actually like fast combat in Souls-like games because it keeps you on your toes and it doesn't bore you. That was one of my biggest problems with Dark Souls 1 because Dark Souls 1 you just wear full Havel set and then grab a big freaking beaten stick and then just go ham on the boss and chug Estus. Or use Humanities, which you can carry 99 of and instantly heal you. People are pissed about life gems. Humanities are worse in my mind. But you didn't have any of that. You basically just had your Estus flask, maybe some Sigbrow from Onion Bro, and a Divine Blessing. And that's all the healing items you got. And it was fair, it was fun, it was hard as fuck. Dark Souls 3 is the hardest Souls game in my mind. It does too many different things not to be the hardest. And all the bosses are cool, they're all unique, they're all fun, except for, I guess, Tree Balls. He's a bit weird. There's also a few small gripes I have with Dark Souls 3, mostly the fact that it is riddled with hackers, especially if you go into the meta level, which is around soul level 120, 125, 130-ish. And go to the area after Pontiff Sullivan. Hackers galore. So I avoided that place when I invaded. And I did, in fact, do quite a bit PvP in the game because I enjoyed it. What build did I use? I used a full-on strength build. I used a strength faith build. I know, very filthy. And I used a pyromancer build. And I used a pure faith build. And all really fun. I'm much better at 1v1s. I cannot deal with multiple people very well. I mean, stop ganking, please, because it's not cool. It's like, have honor. There's no honor in Dark Souls anymore. That's the secret. No one has honor. But anyway, I just got bored of it. I have over 400 hours into the game, and there's nothing to do. There's no new content. Some people say Killing Floor 2 is dry, but Killing Floor 2 still has more replayability because, there's a lot more to do. And Killing Floor 2 is more of a time waster. Anyway, long-winded explanation over. I'm just done with Dark Souls, and, that's not a bad thing, is it? Even though I still love the series. Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne being my absolute favorite of the series. I'm just kind of done with Dark Souls and Dark Souls-like games. I'm not playing Sekiro. I'm going to watch pretty much all of it. Actually, I'm going to watch all of it. And it just doesn't interest me enough. I know that sounds like a sin. Like, wait a minute, you're a Dark Souls player. You're supposed to be loving FromSoft. Sorry, no. Their newest game, it doesn't interest me to play, but it interests me to watch. So, it's not because it's going to be hard. I don't want to hear comments about that. You're scared because it's hard. No. I beat Dark Souls 1 SL1. Well, that wasn't too hard because Pyromancy's overpowered. Seriously, you can two-shot bosses with Pyromancy. What? Quality balance. Oh yeah, and Dark Bead. Quality balance. Quality. You know, that's Bethesda level quality. Just 10 out of 10, you know. Fallout 76 quality. In any case, that's all I had to say about Souls. The Soulsborne series. Still a fantastic series. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Just skip Dark Souls 1. And, yeah. So, I think if I do another video like this, I might talk about Xenoverse too. Maybe. I don't know. Because I haven't played that game in pretty much a year. So, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, Trophy, we trust.